All right, so the tournament just ended for February 2025, and I got second place, and I'm super happy with that. The games were super duper close, and I couldn't have asked for better games, to be honest. Um, what do I want to say? I already recorded most of this when I thought that I got fifth place, but then later on I learned I got fourth, and then I got to play some more games. So I will add that very soon to the video that you're watching, and then I'll just cut it, I guess. But what I haven't already brought up in that part of the video is actions are really, really important. And the only thing that kind of counters actions that I can think of really is something like Faux Glass or Egyptian Holiday or Fudge. And there's kind of not much more than that, which is one interesting part of this game. And I'm not sure about other card games out there, but with uniqueness in this game, for example, if I have an opponent who plays pawn free, then I can't play pawn free, and it's best to fight fire with fire in a lot of ways. Now I need to have a pawn free in my deck so that they can't play pawn free, for example, right? And so what I'm thinking is like the first person to play Seamus benefits a lot from that, because countering characters in any other way, like that's significant. Anyway, so just an observation. It's an interesting problem for me to solve in the future. I don't think I have much more to add. So I'll let the other part of the video play. Thanks for watching. All right, so this is a bit of a recap about the February 2025 tournament and my deck tech and what I changed from my previous iterations of this deck. So I like bringing this deck to every tournament because it's fun to play, even though it's not fun to play against. Because, man, especially in some of the games I played in this tournament, they were nail biters, and both players were thinking long and hard about their turns. Every action mattered and that type of thing. So I think it's not fun if it's just a one-sided game, but there is a place for this where both players, I think, can get a kick out of it. So that being said, where do I want to start? Because I've made a few of these videos already where I explain a lot of stuff. I'm going to not explain how this deck works. I guess I'll just quickly say that I have Corridor and Time Turner and Hagrid. That is the bread and butter of, I guess it's called a lock, where it just gets rid of enough cards in play to win against most decks, I would say. That's a blanket statement, but with the help of Lost Notes, Picking a Neville, and Banned Item List, it handles most of the decks out there. I want to say, before I forget, Banned Item List is good because no one sideboards lessons. That literally is the solution to Banned Item List. If you are frustrated by Banned Item List like I was back in the day, that's the way to solve it. And I never said that out loud, so I'm going to say it out loud. Faux Glass is really interesting because the opponent gets to like draw a bunch of cards, but I am limited to one action. So for that reason, I think it's balanced, but at the same time, I think it's kind of boring for both players. I don't know. Maybe it can be frustrating. But I mean, we both get one action. It's kind of fine. I don't know how I feel about Faux Glass. For me, though, with Time Turner and Corridor, it just really, the game becomes a crawl. And the issue with Faux Glass for me is I'm drawing too many cards. Because I have my Time Turner and Hagrid drawing me a bunch of cards, and that brings me actually pretty low in my deck. So I'm kind of just a hodgepodge mix of thoughts, but I'm not sure if it's new. I don't think it is. I did one tournament where I had Inheriting the Map to find a bunch of other stuff. The name of this deck is Hagrid's Private Lessons because Hagrid is a tutor, and this is a tutoring deck. That was the joke, because I never played Magic the Gathering, and apparently that's a card that's good as like tutor. Well, it's not like a good card necessarily, but yeah, tutoring. Mrs. Norris, actually, I'm blown away how often I used Mrs. Norris, and she was extremely useful. So she's a staple, and she's staying. Whomping Willow actually did nothing. I won't be having that again. It sounds better than it is. Yeah. So, in short, this tournament made me realize, so I won the previous tournament, and the reason I won, I realize, is because I didn't encounter basically character decks. The issue with character decks, I'm able to handle some of them if they are missing some key components. Like, I have this Basilisk, and I have a Faux Glass, and there's so for example, if they don't have a Ron or a Haircare in play, then Faux Glass just wins me the game outright because they can't play any characters, generally speaking, if they need to play characters to win. Basilisk petrifies characters, and there's a few ways to handle a Basilisk. You can get like a Depulso or Quirrell, and there's that. And then I have this EKT in the sideboard, which... So, okay, here's the main issue. Grip Hook is really, really good because Quirrell can put all your items and creatures into your hand, making your making your hand massive, and then Grip Hook just ruins your day. So the problem with EKT is it's not sticky. Your opponent can just play Astronomy Homework or Depulso or Quirrell, and there it goes. And now you are drawing a ton of cards, which is fine, except it's literally the only way to not draw cards in the entire game, which I could be wrong about. I'm open to that. Let me know. But there's things like Spellotape, which I've considered, which is very specific about its purpose. Like, the item has to be specifically discarded, which I think it should be leaving play, if anything, because, Depulso sends it to the bottom, Quirrell sends it to your hand, so it's literally useless. And it has the choose thing. If opponent chooses your item, which Quirrell doesn't choose an item, so. And then there's things like Lockhart's Office, which also, has a primary purpose of handling Grip Hook. But even with a hand of just 4 cards, if you have items in play just to play the game, then you get Quirrelled and then you're toast. Right. So EKT, once it's their turn, it's gone. So, and then there's another thing that I learned that this deck struggles with, which is Draco Malfoy from the base set, where it's basically illegibileless, and the opponent discards a card from their hand, they choose one from my hand. That is the perfect counter for the Time Turner. Time Turner is what helps me find the Basilisk. Time Turner is what helps me get the Empty Frame. Time Turner helps me get the Dementor's Kiss, wherever it is. Without that, I lose. So those are interesting problems for me to solve for next time. Death Day Party is just really strong on its own. This is a new addition. I think it's a staple. I might keep it because 3 damage, a consistent 3 damage is just a lot. And, well, it's not a lot, but it's consistent and it's going to stick because who is going to choose 3 cards from their hand? 3 lessons from their hand. That's perfect with a corridor. And with corridor synergy, people are going to be discarding a lot. Overall, it's just a really good card. For sure. And everything else is basically the same. I'm not going to be having McGonagall's Office because it's not... So there's like Oliver Captain, right? Which is just playing a ton of characters. This would help against that. But there's enough other character problems to solve where it's just just a handful of characters that need to get under control. So yeah, basically the 2 gaping holes that need to somehow be fixed here is finding a way to not draw cards, whatever that is, because it's not EKT, and Draco. Even with this battered old suitcase, and this is actually why I like this deck, because I think I made a error when I played, because I prioritized playing Faux Glass instead of covering my bases with Battered Old Suitcase. Faux Glass didn't actually help that much against character decks, and this would have helped against Draco. So there's not much else that I can think of that handles Draco. So I'm going to have to give that a big ol' think. So I don't want to drag this video out too long. If you're curious about how the rest of the deck works, you can check some of the other ones. I think maybe one of the biggest changes is I changed my mind on I Solemnly Swear because the pace that you get from this is just so fast. It's so fast. And if I draw 2 in my hand, then one of them is fodder and I can just toss it. Like, it's literally fine. This actually helped a ton. Love I Solemnly Swear. Everything else is basically the same. Oh, I got rid of potions. I had a Potions Homework, Misbrewed Polyjuice, and Invisible Potion. I got rid of those. I'm considering putting potions back in to open up the opportunity for a little bit of potions going on. But we'll see what that looks like. Are there any other notes I want to say? Filch actually came in handy. I'll be using him. Crookshanks came in handy. I'll be using Crookshanks again. Table Trouble's a little rough. I have so many items that I want to play that it's generally really extreme if I have to play Table Trouble. I might actually take that out. Oof, that's a tough call. That's up to me later. I'll think about that. Anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching.